Yay, new year. Happy 2020, everybody. Hey, you know what? It's come to my mind that maybe we want to talk about fear, since that's what's holding us back. I got two ideas here this year that came to me. Resolutions, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy them. I don't believe in them. I don't know anybody. I don't think I know anybody that's ever actually made a New Year's resolution and then completed it, yeah. Maybe small kind, I don't know. Here's one that really makes sense though. Forgive yourself this year. Often, all the time. You know, we're all doing the best we can. And so when we beat ourselves up, we're creating more fears within us. And that's really what I want to talk about today is fear. Yeah, because fear is probably our greatest limiting beliefs. Stops us dead in our tracks. And the irony is fear is rarely real, right? Almost all fear is future tripping. It's out there somewhere. Yeah, but we want to bring it in here and have it in this moment and think about it and worry about it and freak out about it and oh my God, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't. Whew. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Why would I be afraid of that? Yeah. It's something new and different I haven't done, but you know, maybe this fear is exhilaration. Maybe it's excitement. But because of the way we've all been raised, don't do this, don't do that, be careful, you know, safety first. Yeah, safety first. You know, I watched a video recently, Ellen's show, yeah, with Will Smith, and he's like jumping out of helicopters and jumping out of airplanes and climbing up on top of skyscrapers to overcome his fears. So yeah, how do we do that? Funny, because I was pondering that recently, and lo and behold, yesterday morning my daughter called, and she's all in a panic and freaking out about snakes. And come to find out, she bought a book called The Ninth Gate with a big black snake on the cover of it. And so I don't know if she read it before bed. Anyway, it was on her bedside table last night or the other night. And she woke up in the middle of the night in a panic and fear. And she said it just consumed her, and it was a fear of everything that had happened this past month. Okay. So she related it to the snake. She couldn't do it with the snake. She's always been afraid of snakes. In any case, we talked story about her snake fear. And when we started, she was getting ready to take the book back to Barnes & Noble and change it in for another book. When we finished the session, she is keeping the book, and not only that, but now she understands and she sees snakes as a source of empowerment for her. So I encourage you to listen to the take. It's completely unedited, raw footage. I'm not touching any of it. I'm just going to put it out there. And this is a good example of how we talk story with Ho'oponopono and dig into our limiting beliefs and memories, most of which are fear-based, right? If we can start to eradicate the fear from us, knowing that it's not real in this moment, most of us are safe, I'm guessing, you know, at least right here, right now. So fear is almost always about what's going to happen. Again, future tripping. It's in our imagination. And our imagination is the one thing we have total control over, 100%. We can change it anytime we want. So if I'm imagining some fear thing about tomorrow, why don't I come back? I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Why am I thinking about that when it's a beautiful day out here and I'm enjoying the drive? And I'd rather think about something else like, oh, how am I going to get people to read this book? How am I going to get people to heal their fears? How can we do that? Because it's not that hard. No, it's simple. Not necessarily easy, but it's simple. You know, and like anything else, it just takes practice. The more we do it, the easier it gets. The easier it gets, the more we want to do it. And pretty soon we find out that we were truly living in that place of peace, joy, and happiness. So I encourage you to watch this, or listen actually. It was a phone conversation, so no video. I'm going to put a little sunset, you know, you can just kind of chill and watch the sunset as you listen to this. And if you have any questions, themagicwords.net, amazon.com, The Magic Words, or contact me. Mahalo nui loa. Aloha. We're going to talk about eliminating the fear of snakes. Yay.
Even just hearing the word mentioned gives me...
Well, why?
They don't make sense to me.
Snakes don't make sense?
No. They can run, but they don't have legs. They can climb, but they don't have arms. They can swallow things whole, but they don't have teeth.
They got teeth.
Some do, but they don't make sense to me. And they always surprise me. I could be walking around and all of a sudden come close to stepping on one before I know it's even there. And then they slither away. And it's that slithering movement that scares me. I mean, I literally scream and go running.
Yeah, that's common.
You know,
I mean, a lot of people do that. Mice, any of those kind of critters. So, can you? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Why am I scared of snakes? How did I create this fear of snakes for myself, and why? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And can you? When do you remember the first time you saw a snake?
The earliest memory I have of a snake was you and I were walking to the river from Grandma's house. We had walked down past the playground, and we were walking on a path to the river, and a snake came barreling into our path with a frog hanging half out of its mouth, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And grossed me out, and you saw it, and you stopped and went, whoa, and then stepped over it and kept going, and I stood frozen.
How old were you, remember?
I had to be 10 years old or less.
Okay.
Because of where everybody was living. I couldn't have been any younger than 8, but I don't think I was any older than 10.
Okay. And so when you feel that fear, what does it feel like? I mean, is
my biggest fear is being engulfed by a snake, wrapping themselves around my leg and squeezing, and I lose my leg. Or, something similar like that.
Did you ever watch... Excuse me. Did you ever watch the movie Anaconda?
I sat through about 5 minutes of it. I caught a glimpse of the snake and said, hell no.
Okay. Yeah.
But I feel like I had been consumed by a snake of some kind in a past life. I feel that this fear is carried from a past life.
Well, most likely. Because the first time you see it, it's got a frog in its mouth, so first of all, it can't bite you. Right?
Yeah.
And the fact that I stepped over it, it's not dangerous.
All of them are. To me, all of them are dangerous.
Why? What's the danger? What does that represent? What does a snake represent to you?
Fear.
Well,
Death.
of what? What are you
Death.
afraid of?
Death.
Dying?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
And how's that? So as soon as you see the snake, what, you panic and think it's gonna consume you?
Yes. It's going to turn on me and it's going to bite.
Right, and it's never happened.
Well, Jay was trying to get a snake out of the pump house one year, and he was using a piece of Tupperware to try to trap the snake so he could walk it across the street and put it in the ditch. And it had turned on him, reared up, and was like darting toward him with its mouth, trying to attack him and the Tupperware that he was trying to capture it with. I think it was a female that had eggs in the pump house, and that's why it was so ornery. But I still watched all of it happen, and it scared the shit out of me.
Do you know what kind of snake it was? Did it have fangs, or you don't know?
No, it was just it was a garter snake.
Okay. Okay, so how can you overcome that irrational fear?
Move the fuck off the hill.
Well, I mean, you can't even look at a book, sweetie. I mean, you know.
I know.
So when you woke up last night, what was the fear?
The snake was too close to me.
But it's just a picture.
It was still a snake.
Okay. Take a few minutes, right? And just keep saying Ho'oponopono over. And how did I create this fear? Because they're not that dangerous, you know. I mean, they can, but they're, you know, you learn to respect them. We want to get out of the fear and get to a respect place if we can. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't have to love them, you know, but they have the same right to be here as we do. And it's not for you to decide what their purpose is. So
if someone's got, I won't even go to that side of the pet store.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, the fear's there, but it's irrational fear, sweetie. Right? Because there's no logical reason for you to have that fear. Is there? You've never been bit by one.
No.
You've never been held one or anything.
I've never been attacked. I've never been bitten. I've never. No.
Okay. So can we agree that it's an irrational fear?
I'd like to, but it just feels so real.
Well, the fear is real. It always is real. You know, that's the danger of it, because it's not happening right now. So first of all, it's, you know, it's not real, but it feels real.
Oh, yeah. I got a knot in my stomach just talking about it.
And so what we want to address is the feeling. We don't really care if it's rational or whatever feel, you know, just get to that point of, why am I afraid of snake? Why am I afraid of a picture of a snake? It can't hurt me. Snakes have never hurt me. I don't really have a reason to be afraid of them. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then you come into, you don't understand why they're here, they don't have a purpose, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know, we can't rationalize fear. Like Paul Williams says, right, in Das Energy, stamp it out. Just get rid of the fear immediately. It's not real. And so as soon as you stamp out the fear, and you know, as soon as you see the snake or feel the picture, or get that first feeling, just start saying Ho'oponopono. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Whoa, what was that all about?
Yeah.
So let's just take a couple minutes, though, and you can just repeat that over and over in your head. And because we're talking about snakes, your unconscious, your Niipili, if you will, understands what you're addressing. So you could just take a couple minutes, and I'll just see if I can stay quiet that long. And just keep repeating that and see if something bubbles up.
I remember one time you were moving out of the house on Skyline Drive, and there was a golfer's practice net in the yard, and you had asked me to go retrieve it. And I was in my Birkenstocks, and I went out, pick up the net, and without even looking, I stepped forward and picked up the net and startled a snake, and it slithered over my foot. Like, I felt its, they don't have scales, but I mean, I felt its skin across my toes. And I screamed so loud. And I ran. And Lois was there, and she asked me why I was screaming so loud and what the problem was. And I told her a snake had gone over my foot, and it scared me. And she screamed and hollered at me and told me that I was being a fucking baby and that I needed to just grow up and go do what I was told. And it was just a snake, and it wasn't a big deal, and she sees them all the time, and she's not scared of them, and so I shouldn't be scared, and shame on me for not doing what I was told.
Okay.
I remember that. It literally crawled across my foot. I felt its skin move. I looked down, frozen in fear, watching it go.
Right. But it didn't hurt you.
And then yelled at because I got scared.
Right. So maybe the issue is more about the shame. Right? I mean, a snake crawling out of the path when you're walking through the woods is going to startle anybody. Right?
Yeah.
But that in and of itself is like, okay, well, you just keep an eye out for snakes in the woods. But then one actually touched you, which didn't hurt, but what you got as a result of that experience was a bunch of shame. You took on shame from someone else, right?
Yeah.
They, in the old vernacular, is that how they say it, vernacular? We get the idea that she made me afraid of snakes. She didn't make you afraid of snakes, but she caused you to take on shame. Right? And then, so probably with that along comes the guilt for yelling and screaming and making all that noise. You feel guilty for disturbing her or making her mad.
Yeah, but I had gotten scared and made all that noise before she shamed me because I was scared of the snake.
No, I understand that, but everybody, I mean, we get centipedes here and people jump and scream. It's not it's not a life-threatening fear. It's just like, okay, watch out for centipedes. They crawl across my feet all the time. Well, not all the time, but they have. So I get that, what that feels like when you got something dangerous, so to speak, or, a centipede can't kill you, but it sure hurts when they bite. But I've never been bitten, luckily. I'm just trying to reiterate that I know what it feels like to be startled by something crawling across your foot.
Okay.
And, it's very common that people, typically women, but people out, dealing with critters, they don't accept them very well. Freaks them out. Mice, same way, The odds of getting bit by a mouse are pretty, they're going to run away from you before, but when you see a mouse in the house, you jump and scream and climb up on the chair. Often. Right?
No, I just call the cat and keep walking.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I know what you mean.
Yeah. But, and so it's, there's a difference between being fearful like you are. You can't even have a book in the same room even. You fall asleep with the image of a snake in your mind, and what do you think you're going to dream about? Right?
Yeah.
So you kind of,
Yeah,
see how you
could. Fear.
What?
I woke up in fear, and I was fearing everything else that had been bothering me this past month. It all came to the surface last night, and I woke up in fear.
Yeah. But you created it, right? Knowing you're afraid of snakes, you read a snake book before you went to bed and had it laying right next to you in the bed. The last thing you saw before you fell asleep was a snake on the cover, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's been said that whatever is the last thing in our minds when we go to sleep is what our unconscious mind works on while we're asleep.
Yeah.
right? So you triggered all these fears and memories, and so this fear of the snake, maybe you look at the snake metaphorically. Yeah, because you just said that you felt the fear of everything that happened this past month. Did I hear that correctly?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so maybe the fear is not the snake, but what the snake represents. What if you look at it from that perspective? What does it represent?
I've never been able to figure that out.
Well, let's figure it out because that's probably your key. I mean, for some, it could be as simple as the creation story, right? The snake showed up and talked Eve into biting the apple, and here we are. Or the serpent,
Yeah.
depending on, and everybody misconstrues the Bible or ancient texts. So,
Mhm.
but that's a pretty powerful story that we're told from a very early age. And it's never,
Especially me. I was raised Christian.
well, and we're never explained in detail what that means at that age. And so all
Yeah.
we know is that a snake caused all the evil in the world,
I've
right?
used that word with them before. They're evil. Yeah.
Uh huh. But they're not. And even if they are, again, they have the same right to be here as we do,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you're going to rationalize it, let's go in. Let's dive in, right? And in the universe, there is no good or bad, or there is no good or evil, you could say. There's just positive and negative. It's all energy.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
whenever we put in good or bad, we're making a judgment. We're comparing it to something. And if we take the comparison out of it, then the good and bad goes away, and it just is. It's just a snake. When you go to Boy Scout camp or any of those camps and they talk about snakes, they're basically, if you stay out of its way, it'll stay out of your way,
Yeah.
right? And the reason people get bit usually is because they keep messing with the snake until the snake wins, or they catch it completely by surprise and neither one of them knew it was there.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of a metaphor for if we're paying attention, we won't get surprised by snakes. And even seeing one could still startle us because, I mean, we're all kind of skittish around animals. I know
Yeah.
friends that won't go swimming in the ocean because they don't want to swim around with something bigger than them, right?
That's valid.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of valid, but everybody does. I mean, there's millions of people swimming in the ocean.
Yeah.
And no, there's no whales swallowing people up. But where does that fear of a bigger fish going to swallow you up come from?
Jonah and the whale.
Childhood stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You have the book with you, handy?
Magic words.
No, the one that freaked you out, the snake book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's right here.
It's been right there the whole time we're talking.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at the snake, and how are you feeling just looking at the cover?
It doesn't feel as intimidating anymore.
Okay. Well, how does it feel when you think about a snake if you walked up to the car and saw one slithering across the road?
I want to say that it's just an animal, and it'd be the same thing as if a chipmunk were in my yard,
Right?
but I'm not there in the moment. I don't see it in front of me,
No,
so
I
I
understand. I understand. I was just,
don't know.
well, sweetie, I know that you don't know, and we can't know until it happens, right?
Yeah.
But our
Yeah.
imagination is probably our most valuable asset. And so if you can imagine a snake in your yard as a chipmunk in the yard, then the next time you see a snake, you probably won't relate it to a chipmunk right away, but I don't think it's not going to have the same fear. It's not going to be a debilitating fear like it has been. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's wintertime, so you're not going to likely see any snakes to figure it out, to prove it true. But the fact that you can look at the book now with a different mindset and you don't have that feeling, at least that's how I heard you say that.
It's almost artful to me, the way the snake is intertwined between the letters.
It's what?
I said it's almost artful to me, the way the snake is intertwined between the letters. Just the cover art, the way that it is.
Yeah, it is art. Right? And that's another way to look at it. Snake is just, God's art, creator's art, whatever it is. Only his art moves, or her art, whoever it is. It moves. The one in the book doesn't, except in your mind.
Yeah.
But that's a big, black, ugly snake. Well, I don't know about ugly, but it's And then now ask yourself, why would they put a snake on a book called The Ninth House? What's the relationship to that? You won't know that till you read the book, probably.
I won't know that till I read the book, but it being that the book is about secret societies and they're all about symbols, it's a symbol for something, I'm sure.
Right. And so likelihood that when you get to that explanation of what it means, you'll either be totally freaked out or completely free of it.
Well, that's a gamble.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, sweetie. Because they do have a lot of symbology. You can look up symbology. I don't know specifically about snakes. Dreams, again, I think I've told you I don't agree with the dream interpretation books. I mean, they're kind of good to go get some idea maybe or another perspective of it, but everybody, everything in the universe means something different to everybody else. And so if you go read a dream interpretation book about snakes and they tell you all this bad juju that's going to happen in your life, which could be, you might have read that somewhere, and that strengthened it, but our dreams, we have to interpret ourselves. And of course, we can talk story with somebody and talk through it, but just to buy into somebody else's.
Taryn and I all the time.
What?
Taryn and I talk all the time about our dreams.
Yeah. So, just to say that that's a self-analysis thing. It's not something you go, oh, I dreamt about snakes, and I go look up snakes, and oh my God, it means I'm going to have a terrible life. So you buy into it, and lo and behold, you have a terrible life.
Yeah, and beware of the power of suggestion.
Exactly. So again, that's where Ho'oponopono comes in. When you hear or read that kind of stuff that doesn't fit for you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and ask ourselves, does that make sense? Is that mine? Is that for me, or is that somebody else's? Because if it's, I don't want it, and if it's mine, I want to figure out how to get rid of it. And if it's somebody else's, well, that's easy to let go of. Bummer for them.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does it help?
I feel better.
With the book in your lap, you feel better?
Well, the book's not in my lap.
But I mean, it's in sight, right?
It's in it's in my peripheral. I feel like I don't need to take it back to Barnes & Noble and choose a new book now.
Okay. And can you pick it up is it close by?
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, put it in your lap. Just let it sit in your lap. And look at the cover again, and how do you feel in this moment as it's touching you?
Nervous.
And can you define nervous?
The face on this particular illustration is like really detailed, and it's bothering me.
The face?
Mm-hmm.
Under the D?
Yeah.
What is it saying to you?
Huh?
Well, a face tip. You can read a face, right? And you get some idea of what it means, what's behind that face. You can look at somebody and tell if they're essentially happy or sad or mad or, you know what I mean?
To me, it's like it's human-like.
I'm just looking at a picture online at Amazon, but I can't really. Oh,
I'm
okay.
looking at them. It looks human-like to me.
Okay. So, what's your snakes are no longer evil?
Okay.
Well, I think you said that. You don't feel that anymore. I don't want to put words in your mouth, sweetie.
I don't. I don't think they're evil.
Okay.
They're
So
just.
there's something that this picture, this snake, represents to you that likely wants to be healed. It doesn't seem like it's a danger sign. Feel into that. Because if you're going to start reading about magic and all that, you start buying into conspiracy theories and, you know. Huh, I might have to read the book. It kind of looks interesting. It's fiction, though, right?
Yeah, it's fiction.
Okay.
The
But
fact that it's a black snake does something to me because black snakes are. I fear them more than I fear any other snake.
which is ironic, right? Because they're the least dangerous in your neck of the woods.
Well, my boyfriend in high school had a pet snake kept in his goddamn bedroom. And um, so we spent a lot of time in the living room. But we would go up to his room and watch movies and stuff, and the snake tank would be right there, and he'd be moving and shit. And he took it out once, and he's like, "Oh, he's so docile. I play with him all the time. He's this, he's that." He puts the frickin' thing. I mean, this is like a 4-foot snake. Okay.
Right.
Puts the thing down on the bed, and the thing starts slithering back and forth all over the bed, and I'm standing frozen in the corner. And he just picks the snake up and puts it back in the tank, and I won't sit back on the bed. We go down to the living room and finish our movie at that point. A couple days later, his brother comes into his room and goes, "By the way, did you know your snake is missing, and I think it's somewhere in the house?"
Oh my
And
God.
I didn't go to his house for a week. I was like, "You need to find that fucker." Well, then his other brother comes rolling up into his bedroom one day. I happen to go back to his house. His other brother comes rolling in with rollerblades on into his bedroom one day, holding a flat black snake. And he goes, "Well, I think I found your friend. It got run over by a car."
Oh, dude.
And he's holding the snake, and he drops it at my feet. And it's like partially decomposed. It's flat as hell. It's got the white mark on its head. It's like, yep, that's his snake. He got out of the house and got run over by a car. It's just like, please, God, for the rest of our relationship, do not get another snake.
Okay.
I didn't go to his house for a week because his brother was like, "Your snake is missing." And I was like, "Fuck it, I'm out."
Yeah. But he sat there
Even
playing
then,
with it,
I
right?
was just like, I mean, I saw it on the bed, and I was like, "That's where we sit. What the hell? What are you doing?" You know, I was so grossed out. I was so grossed out. And it was a black snake.
Okay.
And I've never been able to get over that. Every time even now I'll check underneath my covers. If I haven't been in my bed in a couple of days, I'll lift the covers. I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love you. I'm
so
sorry.
it's
Please forgive me.
Earrings,
Thank you.
know?
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. How did I create that fear? What's my part in you know, I mean, it could come down to having a boyfriend that has snakes. And that you went in his house and you put yourself in a position to see that, to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Because now you have that memory. Release that memory. If you can. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I didn't understand at the time. I'm sorry I put myself in that position, and thank you. Does that change the memory at all, the experience?
I don't know. I feel strong looking at this cover.
Okay.
Like I'm holding the book up. I'm focusing on the black snake.
Right.
And I feel a sense of strength.
Okay. Feels good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Empowered, you might say.
Empowered.
And what do you think that is? I mean, how does that feel to feel empowered? Like,
Relief.
so like this shit can't hurt me anymore. I got control of this. I'm taking charge.
I'm getting there.
What's the release? You said release, right?
Like I can handle the book cover.
Okay.
To me, it represents strength.
Right. So that feels better than what it represented 20 minutes ago, right? Or a half hour, whatever, last night.
Or last night. Yeah. Yeah.
So does it feel like it's going to stick and that you can go to sleep with it on your bedside or read it, you know? It's not, I don't know what the content is, but that's not good to read before bed anyway. But we already know all that. And we do it anyway.
I don't know. I may leave it in the living room.
Yeah. Well, but the other side is you're not going to take it back to Barnes & Noble.
Right.
So
right.
you're actually going to read it, and it's not a big deal if it's there now. When you look at the snake, you don't get cringe with, or whatever that feeling is.
I still don't think I could watch them on TV, but yeah.
Well, no. You know, this is where, you know, we can't heal this stuff in one sitting often, right? You and I have been through that for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But we take steps towards it, right? And so the fact that you were going to take the book back and get it out of the house, and now you don't care, it gives you a sense of empowerment to look at it. That's a pretty big change, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So there's a lot of healing that took place right here. And as far as, you know, are you going to have one for a pet next week? Probably not. But you're no longer, you know, it doesn't turn you into a panicky, irrational mess just looking at a picture.
Right.
Right. And in fact, you're learning that the snake represents empowerment.
Well,
You know, and there's probably a reason. I've never really read this anywhere, but they're oftentimes associated with magic, right?
with what?
Snakes are often associated with magic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you think about what you said
probably
earlier,
what
they
I'm
kind of
saying.
are magical creatures. They run,
Yeah.
but they don't have any legs. They climb, they don't have any arms. How can they do that,
Yeah.
right? How can they do the things they do? We can't figure it out.
Yeah, they swim, but they have no fins. That's the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
many people would see that as magic because it doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
But if you take the idea that snakes are empowering, now you got something to go with,
Yeah.
right? And then next time you see a snake in the yard, you'll go, okay, this is empower. Your new mindset is that a snake is an empowering message for you. Like Native American, they have spirit animals, and a lot of us pay attention to things that happen like that.
Mhm.
I used to drive down this curvy road 3 times, real fast, and I saw a mouse run in front of me, and I was like, what? And about probably the next couple of days, the mouse did that 3 times. And I'm like, okay, this is starting to make some, I don't know what's going on here, but what's the message? And the message was slow down,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
I slowed down. I pay attention to those kind of messages. And that's what it was for me. Somebody else might interpret it some other way. But we have to open up to feeling into it. And that's why it's so important that
Yeah.
we stay tuned into our feelings. And that's why
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono is so powerful. Anyway, yay.
Yeah.
So yeah, next time you see a snake in the woods, it's like, okay, what's the message? I'm feeling empowered. And maybe you oftentimes when you see stuff like that, right, you're in the middle of a thought or a decision, and then a bird will fly across or a snake will run across your path. And if you can catch that moment, what you were thinking at the time you saw that, then you can get an indication of which way to go. Does that make sense?
That's happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I go
so
hiking all the
now,
time.
the snake, maybe you could consider it, I don't know, probably not quite there yet, but consider it a spirit animal. It's a guide for you,
Yeah.
right? And so now you have a reason to respect it.
Yeah.
It could be a confidence
You know,
builder.
it's
You
really-
see a snake in the yard and you jump a minute and then you keep going and you're like, yes, I got the courage to do this, whatever you're walking into.
The funny thing about it is I think they are so freaking beautiful. Their markings. That's the funniest shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've always thought that they were so freaking beautiful. Their markings, their colorations, their patterns, oh my God, they're so pretty to look at. But I will look at them from 55 fucking feet away.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I mean, the fact that you can even look at them 55 feet, not behind some, on TV or a
Well, there's
screen.
usually a metal plate involved, but
But hold on a second, right? Because a few minutes ago you said you wouldn't even watch them on television. Now you're talking about watching them 55 feet away.
in the pet store.
Well, either way. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so just to say that you no longer have to have that fear anymore, and I don't think you do. It sounds like it's gone. Doesn't mean you have to love them or go get a pet or, go looking for them. But you just don't have to panic and freak out every time you see an image or a picture of one.
Yeah.
Yay?
Mhm.
You're awesome, girl. Ha. There you go. Ha. Feel better?
Yeah.
Yay. Still got the book in your lap?
Yeah.
Yay. Cool. Anything else?
No.
Right on. All
Well,
right.
you saved me gas money today, so thank you.
I saved what?
You saved me gas money today, so thank you.
Oh, send it to me in PayPal.
Yeah, right?
All right, sweetie. I'm going to go back to work.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome, baby.
I love you.
I love you too, honey.
All right, bye-bye.
Aloha.